Hello, you horrible cunt. Today, I really want to talk about something important, and that is how self-improvement can actually very quickly become counterproductive if you make it your sole focus and act as though your bloody life depends on it. And this goes against what a lot of the other gurus online say, and it actually goes against what I've said on this channel a few times in the past, and actually how I've lived my life in the past, mainly because I apparently didn't have the ability to think with my own brain. But what I've learned over the last few years by grinding and just kind of working on myself is that what life truly boils down to is having balance. And when I say balance, I don't mean it in the way that your friends and your family have spat down your throat for the last 10 years. Weird analogy, but I mean it in the way that you probably haven't actually heard anyone else say before, and that's because I'm going to be extremely real with you, man. So make sure you listen closely, all right, little bitch. So yeah, pretty much it's taken me years and years to realize this, but this whole kind of premise of self-improvement online is just absolutely fucked, basically. And I'm talking about, you know, the productivity videos that you see on Instagram and YouTube, and the routine videos that you see on Instagram and YouTube, because not only are they clearly just absolutely bullshit, by the way, because nobody is living like that constantly. I'm telling you that for a fact. You know, it's just completely unattainable. But also because you're led to believe that if you're not grinding and working on your goals 100% of the time, you're not doing well in your life, and you may as well just like jump over a cliff or something. Don't actually do that. Seriously. You know, that's just my satire, dry humor, if you can even call it that. Anyway, what this kind of hustle culture eventually leads to is you just not feeling satisfied with yourself, because in your head you just develop these kind of like unnatural, unrealistic expectations of yourself. And this is obviously unhealthy, you know, and it's not a nice way to experience life. I mean, yeah, you can watch some David Goggins type shit and, you know, feel really motivated for 3 days, 4 days, you know, weeks and weeks, or whatever it may be, but eventually it's gonna catch up to you, man. And what exactly is gonna catch up to you? Fucking boredom, brother. And when you're bored, what exactly does that mean? It's more than likely gonna mean that you feel unhappy, you feel unfilled, you feel unfulfilled. And more than anything, it's gonna lead to a pause in self-improvement, or a pause in the grind, or whatever you want to call it. And this pause can also last for hours or days or weeks, possibly even months, which is not ideal, because what's the biggest killer of success? Inconsistency, brother. Inconsistency. No, seriously, it is. Inconsistency is just terrible. It's the #1 reason why most people don't achieve their dreams. I guarantee you that. So that's why you need to slightly alter your focus. And let me tell you how. Now, obviously, judging by the name of my channel, you can probably tell how I genuinely believe, and I mean this, I truly believe, that building high impact habits is the most important part of self-improvement, and it's actually the core fundamental of, you know, achieving shit and becoming a fucking machine, right? And I've built that belief from my own lived experiences, and, you know, also through some habit maxing work that I've done with some of my clients. And if you want to be able to achieve the same sort of shit and the same sort of fulfillment that these guys have been able to achieve, then I'd really advise that you down my self accountability tool from my description, and it's free, by the way. And for the rest of the video, what I really want to talk to you about is something called the 2-day rule, because this is a fucking sick way, okay, to actually make your habits stick piss easily. And even if you supposedly break a good habit with something that is inherently bad once in a while, you know, it's not going to fill you up with guilt like this grind set mentality makes you feel, because that's literally the stupidest thing, by the way, and it's precisely the complete opposite of how you want to feel if you're on a self-improvement journey where, you know, having a positive mindset is pretty much the fucking goal, right? And, you know, guilt is the strongest emotion. Sorry, I mean that having guilt is the strongest negative emotion that a human being can feel. So you absolutely do not want to be feeling that shit. And this 2-day rule is also not going to ruin your consistency and make you fall down this rabbit hole of degeneracy again, or whatever you want to call it. So if you take a recent experience of mine, for example, I came back home to England from Thailand a couple of weeks ago to surprise my family. And, you know, the day I just so happened to come back was a Saturday, and it was a Saturday evening, and lo and behold, my family were all in the pub. So that was my mother, my father, my cousins, my uncles, my aunties. They were all there. They were all getting pissed up, I guess, and nobody knew that I was coming home. right? I wanted to surprise them. But nonetheless, they were all happy when I surprised them. Well, or so they seemed. They did seem happy, I promise. But they were also very surprised to see me as well. And just as the English do, the fuckers bought me a pint of Guinness, didn't they? And they put it on the bar and they wanted me to down it. They started chanting my name. You know, we like to drink with Myron. And this is a scenario where in the past I would have refused to have drunk the drink because it's bad, right? Which, let's be honest, it obviously is bad. You know, alcohol has no health benefits whatsoever. It is definitely not a good thing to be doing, and it's not a good thing to be putting into your body. So in the past, I either would have refused to have drunk it, or I would have drunk it due to the peer pressure, and I just would have felt guilty about drinking it because I knew it was a bad habit or whatever. But now, because of this 2-day rule, which I'm talking to you about, I know how limiting that mentality of you can never ever do a bad habit can be. I know how limiting it can be to have a mentality of you must do good habits every day for the rest of your life and only good habits forever. And I just don't want you to experience the same just because of some shitty guru online that are just saying shit to get views. Because what I figured out is that life is very much about memories, man. They just are. And this isn't me getting like really soppy or whatever, but the fact of the matter is it's not all just about living like a monk and doing the right thing every single second of every day. So of course, I went forward and I downed the bloody bastard. Took me a few seconds, and obviously it was absolutely vile because, let's be real, Guinness isn't exactly the most delicious drink of all time. So yeah, you know, it was really funny. And my family were made up. They were proud of their son for returning home and downing a bloody pint. You know, doesn't get much more English than that, does it? But yeah, the night was class. And just because I did that, just because I did that bad habit, it didn't destroy my routine or, you know, my productivity streak or whatever. And I also didn't feel guilty about it, because not only did I just choose not to, but also the 2-day rule teaches you that as long as you don't commit the same bad habit 2 days in a row, you're pretty much guaranteed to not fall into the trap of degeneracy again. And it's not going to ruin all the progress that you've made. And there's actual science behind this. You know, I'm not just chatting out of my ring piece, okay? But what exactly does this mean for you? And what can you take from this, brother? Hey? What can you take from this? And in my opinion, it means that, you know, it's okay to relax a little bit. It's okay to enjoy the fruits of your labor. It's okay to live life. It's okay to be a goofy bastard and, you know, make some amazing memories with your friends and your family. Life is not all about grinding every single second of every day, and if you don't, you're an absolute pussy. And it's not about constantly trying to be the next bloody Andrew Tate, like all of those, you know, Instagram videos and YouTube videos online in this motivational space kind of deem you to have to follow. It's not about that shit, man. It's about balance. And I think the perfect balance is staying disciplined 90 to 95% of the time. And then for that 5% of the time, it's okay to just give yourself a mental break and have some fun, man. So how do you do it? How do you actually implement this 2-day rule? And how do you follow it or whatever? Basically, for whatever habit you're trying to build, you essentially never want to allow yourself to repeat that exact same habit for more than 1 day in a row. And that's obviously if it's a bad habit. If it's a good habit, you never want to skip doing that habit for more than 1 day in a row. And all of this is as long as you don't do the exact same thing the next day. So yes, that means it's all right if you just decide to play GTA with the boys one night, you know, and have a laugh. You know, it's not the end of the world if you decide to inhale a bloody chocolate triple cookie donut. Do you know what I mean? It really isn't the end of the world, so long as you don't do it again the next day, because as I said, it is not going to ruin your streak or all the progress that you've made in the past. And you know deep down what's acceptable or not. You know, if you're filled with a lot of anxiety, that's, you know, your body's way of telling you that enough's enough, man, and that you need to get your shit together. Now, if you want extra support with building good habits and breaking bad ones to release yourself from having an unfulfilled mindset, make sure you go to the description and click the link to apply to work with me. I look forward to seeing you soon, my man, and believe you can, and you're more than halfway there, bud.